For this lesson, I want to show you and introduce you to lists, unordered lists, and ordered lists. And for this lesson, I'm going to be using CodePen because I want to show you how we can build out a list of items, and I really want to focus on these particular elements within HTML. So ordered list is representing an ordered list is an OL tag. So again, opening, closing, ordered list. And we've got some content in here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as we save that, we see, well, this doesn't really look like a list because we've got a bunch of content in here and it doesn't even represent as we would want a list to represent. So this is just essentially doing one line of code and it's just outputting some content in the middle, and this isn't really a list. And what is missing within this to make it actually a list? You need to be able to break apart each one of these items here, and we need to have a starting point and a finishing point so that the browser knows what the contents of the list is. So all the different items in the list. And this is where list items come in. And the tag is li for a list item. And these again are opening and closing. So make sure that when you're opening that, you're closing it. And we see that, look what's happening over here. We're already getting that formatting coming in. It's already starting to look like a list. And the browser's automatically throwing this 1 in here. And it's representing our first list item. So let's see what happens as we turn the rest of these into list items. So we see that it represents, it got some number 2 there, and now let's do another one here. And what do you think is going to happen when I close off this list item? We've got number 3 and list item number 4. And we see that this is another way that we can pull out content and make it more meaningful within our web pages for our web visitors. So creating a list, really simple, straightforward. And you're probably wondering, okay, well, what if I didn't want these numbers here? What if I wanted something else? Like if I wanted letters, for instance. So sometimes you see lists with letters, and we can really easily change that to letters by doing type A. And this is all built in with HTML. So this is just something that the browser understands that unordered lists have ability to change different list types. And what we've introduced now is an attribute. So going over and as we're specifying a type equals A, this is additional information that's contained within the ordered list. So we're no longer are we expecting that default ordered list, which is this numeric value, that we're actually specifying what type of list we're expecting. And there's a number of different types of lists. So I can do uppercase, I can do Roman numerals. So these are all changing, and we see these are all updating here. I can even do uppercase I for the uppercase Roman numerals. So depending on how you want this list to look, you can do it in a number of different ways. And you're probably wondering, okay, well, what if I don't want to start at 1? What if my list starts at 5, for instance? So this is another attribute, and we can be really specific where we want these numbers to start. Notice that Roman numeral 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is where we can specify how our list is starting. We can also go back to the letters. We can start them out at E, which is the 5th letter, F, G, H, and so on. So notice that this is giving us a lot of flexibility in our output. So there's also another type of list. So sometimes you don't want to order your list. You want to create a list and you're not sure how many items are in the list and so on. Maybe bullet points is something that's good enough to output here instead of these numbers. And these are what's known as unordered lists. So UL for unordered lists, and we also still need those list items in there. So all we need to do in order to create an ordered list and update it to an unordered list, change the O to a U, and there we go. So we've turned this one into an unordered list. We don't need to specify these attributes because we already have our bullet points. And this is a default for unordered lists. So if you're creating an unordered list, you're just going to be using the bullet points. So the next lesson, we're going to look at more about attributes, because this was an interesting spin on our typical opening and closing tags, because now we were able to get more specific and add in additional information, cues as to how we want that content to be output. And that's the purpose of attributes, is to be more specific within those HTML tags. So if we need to add some specifics, we do them by attributes. And we're going to look closer at attributes in the upcoming lesson.